Welcome to Man Cave United with my co-host Emad and our special guest from the United Pubcast, Tom. How are you, boys? You good?
Yeah, very good. I appreciate the kind words and a special guest. I wouldn't go that far, but always good chatting United, mate.
Well,
To
you've
us,
been doing
mate.
this longer than us two, so we're still tripping over our words. Well, I am anyway. So anyway, we're looking ahead to Tuesday here, 5 a.m. kickoff. Manchester United v Brentford. They haven't played at Old Trafford since 1975 in a competitive game. So just checked out that before. It's a long time ago. So anyway, what are your thoughts on it, Tom, with this game coming up?
It's a hard one. We're just checking the calendar earlier, and it's the 1st of May, and you think usually this time of year, okay, these games, the last 3 or 4 games of the season, always sort of a lot riding on it, and you think, okay, a title up for grabs, and they're must-win games. And unfortunately, just a flat feeling going into it thinking, well, what is there to play for? Like, what sort of positivity can we cling to? I'm sure you'll get into team selections in a little bit and say, okay, can we get some excitement through there? But in regards to the result, I think it comes to what people want next year. Do you want European football? Do you want no European football? And we obviously don't want Man United to go out and lose. But there's also a negative to us going and winning the match because then we get sort of put in the dreaded Europa League. So unfortunately, just the position we're in off the back of the sort of poor season, just a flat feeling going into this. And yeah, you shouldn't have that going into the last game at Old Trafford this season. Obviously, touch on the protest as well in a little bit. Just unfortunately just sums up where we are. Just no excitement at all leading into where the reason we support Man United is for this part of the season, where it should be filled with excitement, but none of it this time.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is the last game of the season. It's come around pretty quick. It's been a crazy year, hasn't it, really? What do you reckon, Emad? Where do you think we're eventually going to go in this game?
Yeah, I agree with Tom. It's a real disheartening, just flat feeling coming into this one. Just knowing that top 4, it's out of our reach. Obviously, it's not in our hands. Mathematically, we're still within a chance, but I don't know. I think it's like a 1%. It's a 1%er. So having that flat feeling, last game at Old Trafford, I'm expecting to see some changes within the lineup, which we'll discuss. You've got Ralph, who's taken on the Austrian role. And, you got to see, we've seen him in previous weeks call out all the issues going on within the club. We've seen him or heard him talk about players not being good enough. Is this the match at home, which we've seen in the past happen with our previous managers? Last game of the season at Old Trafford, they like to bring in some youngsters. It'll be interesting to see if this is what they do for this one.
It's funny, like I was reading just before we come on here, United haven't lost, United haven't lost any of our last 7 Premier League games at the Theatre of Dreams. We drew you wouldn't even think of it, like everyone's that down on it. So, sorry, that was Alyssa just calling. She's been out for the whole weekend. So yeah, we've our last 7 games we've done all right, but I mean most of them have been draws. I'm thinking from memory. I mean we got the draw last week, but we should have got flogged. But yeah, look, if you have a look, I'm going to bring up a slide for you. It's our home record for this year. We've had 9 wins, 5 losses, 4 draws, 32 points, and 5-1 versus Newcastle in round 1. So we really haven't. We didn't improve.
That was our best result at home, was it?
That was our best result at home. It's freaking crazy when you put it out in front of you. What do you reckon, Tom?
Yeah, well, I think it just sums it up. It's disappointing in regards to you never really looked at when we always go back to Sir Alex Ferguson days, and you never really looked at home records in regards to, okay, how many wins did we have? Let's say there's 18 games, you usually bank on at least 15, 16 wins, but you never brought it up because it was never an issue. And now we're weighing up, okay, is 9 wins good? And okay, 5 losses. We never used to lose 5 games in a season. Sir Alex Ferguson always used to go along the lines of thinking if you lost 5 games throughout a whole season, you're going to lose the Premier League title. That's about as many as you can afford to lose. Now, obviously, Manchester City and Liverpool in recent seasons have unfortunately sort of raised that bar, and it looks like you can only lose 1 or 2 games a season now to sort of win a Premier League title. But just so disappointing there because we shouldn't be having a look at those stats in regards to, okay, is it been a good season or not? We're trying to cling to things, but as you say, where the bar has been raised to, we're losing 5 games at Old Trafford this season. To win a title now, you're going to have to go close, maybe not this season, but go close to 100 points, which has been shown in recent seasons. And that's losing 1 or 2 games. And we're just doing this at home, where Old Trafford used to be, 3 points used to come with a ticket. And now it comes with an away ticket now.
That stat that Adam just put up there, clear indicator, and we've obviously known this for a while now, that Old Trafford is not the fortress it used to be. Teams used to lose before they even stepped onto the pitch at Old Trafford. It is a real shame seeing that 9 wins. What was it? 5 losses, 4 draws. Is that what it was? 5 losses.
I'll put it back up for you.
And not just the losses, but in the manner they've come, you'll have to look at some of them. That Manchester City and Liverpool one, they're more than losses. They highlighted just more than 3 points.
The 2 worst games I've seen at Old Trafford. Very, very disheartening. And then it's not like our away record was probably a touch better than our home record. But again, the losses, the draws that we've performed, the performances of those matches away from home, again, nothing left to be desired there. It's been a poor showing from the whole squad, really, in terms of the season as a whole.
The problem I have with it is that, like, whenever a team comes to Old Trafford, is they always look better than us, whether they're at the bottom of the table, mid-table, or at the top of the table. We always look second best right through the whole season.
Well,
I don't think that comes down to. Sorry, Matt, to interrupt there, but Emad, I'll get your thoughts on this as well. In regards to, we can discuss Man United's quality, and are our players good enough, or are Southampton's players, are they just as high quality? That's up for debate and interpretation. But my issue with that, in regards to how we look at Old Trafford, I think you look how good we look, not only sort of how good we looked at behind closed doors, but results suggested we were very good. Can Man United play in front of a crowd, or whether that be home or away? I want to look at sort of that record behind closed doors. We're so good we finished second. I'm thinking, can these players sort of cope with that pressure, whether it be the away fans or the home fans? I think we always sort of harp on about mentality, Matt, but it looks like they're struggling in regards to dealing with the pressure that fans put on top of them.
Remind me or correct me if I'm wrong. When we signed Bruno, we signed him halfway through the season, correct?
Yeah.
It was a January transfer window.
Yeah, January, yeah.
But we still had crowds.
Yeah.
So I remember, was it against City where he teed up?
That was the last game. That was the last game in front of fans. Yeah.
He teed up Anthony Martial.
Yeah, and McTominay scored the long range. That was the last. That was 2 days before lockdown.
That's the reason why I remember it.
It's pretty much the same squad. And you look at the 3 that we've added. You've got a World Cup winner, a man who's done everything in the game in terms of in regards to Cristiano Ronaldo, and Jadon Sancho, and Tom Heaton on the side there. But all 4 of those players are used to playing in front of big crowds. I mean, Varane's played on the largest stage of all, being a World Cup final. Ronaldo, countless number of Champions League finals under his belt. So it's just a strange, maybe it does come down to the mentality and, the feeling around the club, and everything that's gone wrong this season has taken effect. And obviously with the modern day fan getting on their backs so quickly, there's no room for error in this game.
Well, you just, in this game, like Brentford won their last 4, I think it is, something like that. So it's quite scary coming into this game for United. I mean, not that
they've had some big results too, Brentford. They've taken points off some big teams, haven't they, Tom?
Smashed Chelsea a couple of weeks ago from memory. I remember, and here we are sort of disappointed with our draw at home against Chelsea. But at the end of the day, could you imagine a situation where United go to Stamford Bridge, and I think they scored 4 goals? I might be incorrect in that.
And I remember they did smash them. Their last 3 away.
Christian Eriksen scored at the Bridge. So I'm just thinking that they are one of those teams where I'm sure we'll get in the team selection in a little bit, and we'll want to see 1 or 2 youngsters in there and rotate a little bit. But I'm thinking from a manager's point of view, and Ralph Rangnick, he's thinking, well, hang on, Brentford are a good team. Yeah, I would like to give out some debuts and sort of rotate, but if I sort of don't play my strongest 11, and there's an argument to say Ralph's strongest 11 isn't our strongest 11, but the manager will be a little bit hesitant to rotate because Brentford are a team that on their day, and if Man United aren't on their day, could be another embarrassing showing.
Do you feel, just before we touch on the lineup, sorry, Adam, do you feel that when it comes to playing Manchester United, every team's a good team?
Well, yes, but I think there's two ways to look at it.
Norwich have been terrible all season. come to Old Trafford, and they give us a run for our money. It's unbelievable. Like I can't get my head around it.
Look, no, you're completely right. There are two ways to actually have an honest debate. Look, yes, completely right. But in terms of a debate about that, there are two sides. One where Man United, the biggest club in the world, and someone would just come and lift. Okay, the biggest stage, TV cameras are on us. We're going to lift, and that'll improve their performance. But then the other side, which is unfortunately probably more accurate, Man United just sort of lower to their levels, and they sort of just have to play their natural game, and it's on Man United, who are looking bad, not so much the other team looking good. So I remember a couple of games. I remember it was early in the season we lost to Aston Villa, the game Bruno Fernandes missed the penalty right at the end of the game. So we lost 1-0, and a lot of people saying, "Oh, Aston Villa, stop talking about Man United. We've got to give Aston Villa credit." And I'm thinking, no, Aston Villa were just as bad as United, if not worse than United. Aston Villa were shocking on the day. They didn't have to be good to beat Man United. Man United were just worse. And I'm just thinking, sadly, that has probably been the case more often than not this season.
Yeah. Like in this reverse fixture, if you can remember the reverse fixture, we won 3-1. So,
Fernandes score a double, or no, that was against Villa. Who scored in that one?
Alanga, Bruno, and probably a man. I think it was Bruno and probably a man we probably shouldn't mention. But there was one of our better performances this season.
Yeah, I do remember that one. It was a tap-in, I think.
I would look, last home game, you want to see him win, that's for sure. Otherwise, it's... I've
got a question for you, Adam, there, just in regards to usually so often we look back at the end of seasons and players... I remember one Matter spoke about the last game of the season, you always do a lap of honour. Well, it used to be a lap of honour for Man United. Now it's, I don't know, what do you call it, lap of appreciation for the fans. It used to be for the players. Now it's thanking the fans for staying around. Yeah. And one Matter spoke about... Walk of shame, maybe. But one Matter spoke about, he came in January in the David Moyes season, and he was thinking, okay, hang on, I don't know how this is going to go because we've just had a failure of a season. But he was taken aback by how supportive the fans were walking around after that season. I don't think they're going to get the same reaction. If they do that, do you think the club would are they going to give Harry Maguire a microphone or Ralph Rangnick a microphone to thank the fans after? Like, it's a ritual. It's something that happens. It's part of Man United's culture and tradition. And it's something in my mind I think should stay. But I don't know how the crowd would react to it.
I think, look, the crowd has been, look, we know a few season pass holders ourselves. And, when I do talk to, like, Delara, I talk to him quite often, at least once a week, even after the games all the time. And he's never really spoken about the crowd bagging the players. Like, we have heard a couple of times there's been boos, and we've seen Ronaldo in frustration and, other players in frustration. But I think the crowd will still be behind the team. I think they need to still at least say something to the crowd. I don't think Harry Maguire will talk to the crowd. I think maybe Ralph Rangnick will maybe say something, which would be nice. And David De Gea has done a lot of press conferences this year, so I'm thinking that he may have a couple of words to say. But I don't think the crowd would bag him if they gave him a mic. I mean, they are walking out. Is it the 71st minute or something like that?
73rd.
Yeah, so they are walking out there. 73rd, is it? So it all depends how long they're going to stay out for that. So it'll be a very...
Games go for 90 minutes.
Hey?
I got this. I made a mistake earlier. I was blowing up. Don't worry about it. If you think about it as well, with this lap of honour that we're having at 90 minutes, or if there is to be one, it's also a farewell to a couple of the players. So we've got the likes of Nemanja Matic, who announced he's leaving the club. Juan Mata looks like he's 100% gone. For me personally, they're probably the only two that if I was at Old Trafford, I'd stand and clap those two. And then you got the likes of Jesse Lingard. No skin off my back. If he goes, he goes. The way he's been behaving like all season or through his brother. Who else is going?
Well, there'll be a few. Obviously, there'll be a few not involved. Obviously, Paul Pogba's out of contract, and then the one or two that you think look nailed on in regards to, okay, they're technically be under contract, they could be sold. So that is why, look, I agree with you, Adam, in regards to, I don't think the crowd will turn on them, but it's just a weird situation. It's an unfortunate situation that everyone's in. The fans are in, the players are in. And if we did better, we wouldn't be in this position. We'd be sort of celebrating it. And
just touching on the crowd, Tom, when you watch that Chelsea game, and I know obviously we're on the other side of the world watching it through Optus Sport, but did you sense or did you hear a difference there in the Old Trafford crowd. For me personally, it sounded like it was a different mood. You could feel, you could almost hear the tension.
Oh, you feel it, no doubt, and that doesn't matter whether you're at Old Trafford or here on the other side of the world with us. There's a definite tension. There's a definite, I think, almost just what we mentioned at the start, just a acceptance of where we are, and there's not that buzz. You look at going around the ground. I watched the Leeds Manchester City game last night. I watched the replay this morning, and the Leeds crowd, okay, they got something to play for in regards to survival, and Leeds is always sort of a hostile environment. But I'm telling you, that wasn't a 4-0 game for Manchester City. But the Leeds crowd were up for it, and it drove Leeds on. And Manchester United, as great as our fans are, you can understand they don't have that at the moment, that sort of drive to push the team forward because the players aren't giving too much back. So, yeah, there's definite sort of downbeat mood at Old Trafford.
The crowd would be more nervous going into the games than the players, I reckon sometimes. There's definitely more passion from the crowd, that's for sure, than the players. Because I know myself, look, when you go and watch a game, I know, look, you go watch your kids play and stuff like that. I'm up for it. I'm up for the game.
Yes.
If you're a regular to Old Trafford and you're a part of the crowd, you're up for it. You know, that's why you travel the world to go and see them. And that's probably the biggest disappointment. The players should be up for it more than the crowd.
Yeah, I agree.
So anyway, let's have a look at the predicted lineup. I'll put it up here for you to have a look at. Give me your thoughts on
this
it.
This is what Adam and I have both gone, or thinking this is what Ralph may do. Tom, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, it's hard. The right back situation's hard at the moment. In my mind, I think Ralph Rangnick sees Delo as the first choice fullback, but then when Delo has a go there, you think, well, hang on, he might prefer Wan-Bissaka the next week. I think the centre backs probably do pick themselves at the moment. I agree there. Fred is obviously probably recorded before Ralph Rangnick's press conference, and Fred's fitness levels, he could be back. I would like to see, and we'll get into whether it deserves to play or not in regards to Roy Keane saying, are we giving out testimonials just for the sake of it instead of winning football matches? I would like to see Nemanja Matic play. I think he's done well in recent weeks. But if Fred is fit, I think as much as we've criticised Fred as a fan base this season, I think we've missed him in recent weeks. I think he's someone who would be sort of welcome back into the team. The interesting one up front is for me, Marcus Rashford at the moment in regards to, I think the club is going to stick by him, whether that be the right or wrong decision. That's up for sort of personal interpretation. However, I just think that this crowd needs a lift. We've spoken about the crowd and the atmosphere. I think playing Marcus Rashford over a young kid at the moment, and I'm sure you can see Garnacho's name on the bench there. If I was, I don't know if predicting a team, or definitely if I was picking the team, it would be Garnacho. And there's obviously a matter of, I know your opinion in regards to throwing these young players into sort of this sort of situation and the sort of potential negatives there, which I fully agree with. But we need something. And I don't think Rashford's going to give us that. In regards, we've got to hold these players accountable. We've been so sort of critical of Harry Maguire for months, saying he needs to take responsibility. He needs to be dropped for his performances. The same thing needs to happen at the other end of the pitch with Marcus Rashford at the moment. That's not to say Garnacho deserves to start or should be starting. I just think we need to hold Marcus Rashford accountable for his performances. If he misses a shot or has a bad performance, no issue. I just think we compare to the other wing, the work rate of Anthony Elanga, that doesn't happen on the other side. And that would probably be my main change. I'd be throwing Elanga, Alejandro Garnacho over Marcus Rashford at the moment.
I think my opinion on playing the youth is probably not. I'm not going to say completely changed, but for me, I think the hostility between the crowd and the squad has sort of, I won't say evaporated, but sort of simmered down a bit. And I think now, with everyone knowing that top four's out of the equation, the crowd will be more accepting of seeing these youngsters. And they're always going to be accepting of the youngsters coming onto the pitch because, like you said, they're going to show a bit more ticker than what we've seen so far. So, for me personally, like I can see and I can be more accepting of the young guys getting a debut and giving them a run. If you look at the subs there, I don't know how many subs we've put in, 1 million subs. We've included Charlie Savage, and that's only because he wasn't part of yesterday's academy squad that played yesterday. So I'm thinking, if they've left him out of that, unless he's injured, he's probably going to get a seat on the bench.
He made his debut earlier
They've
this
also
year
been training with the first team
game.
squad as well. What's that?
I said he made his debut earlier this year in a cup game.
Yeah, but still, we didn't see much of him. I remember when he came on. I know Robbie Savage and that were making and rightly so, a big fuss of it on social media, how proud they were. I'd like to see Garnacho. I'd like to see Garnacho from the start, to be honest. I'd like to see these youngsters from the start. None of this last 9 minutes or 30 seconds in stoppage time. I want to see what they've got. We want to see what they've got. Let us look forward to what the future of Manchester United is going to look like.
I think there's definitely a case of that in regards to saying, and your argument a few weeks ago, but the other side of the coin was, okay, let the other players who put us in this hole, let them get us out, and let these young players either start fresh in pre-season or next season. But pre-season is nothing in regards to competitive football. You don't learn anything from there. So we're going to throw these kids in for their first game on the first week of August next season. I don't think that's quite fair in regards to we're in a title race in August next season. We want to be winning every game. So I think as unfortunate circumstances they are in at the moment, it might be the best case to throw them in the deep end. I'm just thinking, Adam, what would you think in regards to weighing this up as a manager? Is 3 points? But is 3 points the most important thing for you, or is it along the lines of a fan, which Emad sort of alluded to, played Nemanja Matic, play one Matic because they're players you just sort of do want to appreciate for one last time. So what's more important? Seeing these players, either the young players or a one Matic, Nemanja Matic, etc., or playing your, let's say, a different strongest 11 in regards to getting 3 points.
Yeah, look, I don't think, even if you threw Matter in it, he wouldn't look out of place anyway, because every time he's come on, he's looked really good lately. So, well, I think he looks good every time. So, I'm a bit like you, Tom. I'm really biased towards him. But look, he's a class player, and it's ridiculous that people don't see that. Yeah, look, it's big today, isn't it? Oh, well, when is it? Tuesday for us, making those decisions. But it's traditional for United to throw youth players in on the last home game. I don't reckon start them. You've got to give them a bit of time, but don't throw him in from the start. Ronaldo's not going to give you up his position for Garnacho or anything like that. You still need Ronaldo in there, and you still need United to be fighting for those 3 points no matter what. Every game that I go into, I want those 3 points, regardless of Europe or not. I don't know. It's a tough one, isn't it? Like, if you're the manager, I wouldn't be starting the youth players, but I'd definitely give Matic and Juan Mata a run. That's for sure. You're not going to take Fernandez off. He's done nothing fancy lately, has he? So, and then you could Fred. There's predicted that Fred's coming back. Matic just started over the last few weeks, so just leave it the way it is. What are your predictions anyway, boys? Give us a score prediction.
I'm never confident. Even going at home, Old Trafford to Brentford, you can't be confident. But I just think I agree with every sort of point you make there, Adam. But I'll just inject it with one debut, just to give the crowd. We'll talk about the crowd and the importance. So that's what I'll do. And I just think if there is some type of buzz with a young player coming on like that, look, at the end of the day, as bad as we are at times and as good as Brentford are at times, it's still Man United versus Brentford. I'd say 8 times out of 10 we'll still probably beat them. So hopefully this isn't one of the 2 times. But surely we're going to win. Let's go. We're definitely not keeping a clean sheet, but let's go 2-1 United.
Ivan Toney, 100%. Ivan Toney, 100%. He puts one. He'll get one between Varane and Lindelof. I'm going to go with a 3-1 win for United. It's probably a rare occasion that I'm going to back them to win a game. I reckon Ronaldo at the double. I'm going to say Marcus bags one.
Actually, I think he was the one who scored in the. I think it wasn't Bruno. I think it might have been Marcus Rashford who scored in the return fixture against Brentford.
I reckon Marcus will bag one. Probably even bag the first one.
Yeah. I'd hope so. As much as I've criticised him, if he does play, I'd love nothing more than the same score. But he's not making life easy for him at the moment.
No, mate. My love for United at the moment is built on hopes and dreams. So
I can see De Gea making another early save. So I'm the same lines as Tom. I think it's going to be 2-1. I think Ronaldo will bag one right in the 90th minute for us. We'll be shitting ourselves again. So yeah, you can't go. I can't go into the games confident anymore. I go with an open mind anyway. So it is what it is, and we'll see how we. I definitely think we'll win the game for sure. I think it'll be 2-1. I think we'll get a late winner because we're not in the habit of making it comfortable for ourselves. And United have never been like that. And we just saw before our best win was against Newcastle 5-1. So, and that was in round 1. Yeah, well, I'd love to see him come out and win 6-1, but 5-1
That was
in
so
the
long
first
ago.
round. So long ago. Yeah.
It was 21 is coming after that game.
It's been a long season, boys, hasn't it?
Oh, man.
I can see the looks on your faces, and yeah. Anyway.
Just quickly, so I won't say finally, because loss of life isn't nice in any stretch of the imagination. Mino Raiola, a couple of days after it was announced that he had passed away, and then obviously that information was incorrectly reported, has finally passed away, I suppose. When was it? Yesterday? It was reported in the news. Mino Raiola, so obviously agent to the mega stars of world football. He's got the likes of Haaland, Pogba, who else is there? Who was that? Ibrahimovic.
Lingard.
Pretty sure Lingard's on the books with him as well. There's a host of other players, and I know now, and I know Tom, you guys brought this up in your last one. I can just see the other agents just circling like vultures or sharks, just waiting to pick at the corpse and get whatever they can and pick up whatever players they can scrap up from his agency list. Just as a person, we know him as an agent. He wasn't the most pleasant guy to deal with. What are your last thoughts or remaining thoughts on not Mino Raiola the person, because obviously we don't know him personally, but Mino Raiola the agent?
Look, it's hard because we look at it solely through a Manchester United lens, and we're very biased and we're very sort of invested in Manchester United and passionate, and it's us against the world, whether that be other teams, other players, or anyone who doesn't have their best interests of Man United at heart. At the end of the day, though, he's got a job to do. He's just doing his job. We all go to work in the morning to get paid. He's going to get as much money as he can for both himself and his client. So he does the right thing by his client. Now, that doesn't always coincide with the best thing for Manchester United, and that is why we take issue with that. But it's a job, and he's very good at his job. And I'm sure he's set up his kids or future generations to come sort of thing. So fair play to him for that. And it's one of those things discussed yesterday on our podcast. We sort of get football these days it's a movie. It's a Hollywood story. There's the players are characters, the clubs, the fans, journalists are a huge part of it as well. And he's just another character. And that's unfortunately how you do have to sort of treat these guys when they're around. They're just sort of part of the story. We'll have journalists we like. We have agents we like. We'll have agents we dislike, just like we do with players and clubs. So look, it's a sad thing for him and his family, obviously. But in regards to football, moving forward, it'll be fascinating how it unfolds, because you just have to look at the two biggest names this window moving on. It's obviously Paul Pogba and Erling Haaland. Are those deals in place? Are they just going to naturally sort of happen, or has this put a sort of stumbling block in the way of those, and their future's going to change? So it obviously has huge ramifications for football.
It definitely was larger than life, and definitely a character of the world game, and sadly missed by his family. And
one of those ones you do look at his players, the players that he does represent, they love him, absolutely love him to death.
You would think most of the contracts, being that it's coming to the back end of the season, a lot of the contracts have been just about finalised anyway, wherever players are moving and whoever he's got, stuff like that. That'd be all done and dusted. He's been suffering from illness for a long time.
He's not just running. He's not just like looking after these players on his own. It is an agency.
Yeah, right. He's got other players, people working for him. So
there'll be contingency plans for such events and the likes. That's pretty much. Have we covered everything we wanted to cover today, Adam?
Yeah, we've covered everything. I want to thank Tom for coming on. It's been a pleasure. I love listening to you, buddy. And remember to go on to the United podcast, give him a like, share, and subscribe. I think he's just clicked over 900 subscribers now, which is a fantastic achievement, and congratulations on that. You boys work really hard to get your podcast going, and to credit to you, you've involved the supporters club as well, and I'm quite proud to say, Tom, you're doing a fantastic job for us supporters in the supporters club. So congratulations to you and Larry on doing that. We're just a virgin podcast here, Man Cave United. So give us a go. I'm still struggling and stumbling over words. So give us a like, share, subscribe. We'll catch you on the next one. And hopefully United get a win so we can be positive into the tour going into July. And I'll catch you all later.
Cheers,
Thanks.
lads.
See you,
Thanks,
boys.
Tom.